great Q&A crowd today. This is Nick Lawson. He is the CEO of SQWAD Sports, which helps sports teams and events sell more sponsorship through live digital activations and social retargeting. Having inbound channels is extremely important to any company, but where do you start? Nick will take you through how to utilize paid social media to help your company reach the customers you want, profitably and at scale. Things that will be covered include who to target, which platform to pick, and how to keep your CAC down. Nick Lawson, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Everybody can hear me okay on the mic? Perfect. Thank you, Yuli, for the great intro. Again, I'm Nick Lawson. I co-founded a company called SQWAD Sports, much like probably you guys are kind of going through that piece right now. And today I want to talk about paid, particularly B2B, just because that's what I'm in, but a lot of these fundamentals will push towards B2C as well. So it's going to be a lot of fundamental stuff, some of the things that you guys can implement and hopefully get you guys to having a pipeline that's going to be efficient for you guys to get leads in. That's overall the goal. So again, a little bit about me, CEO of SQWAD Sports. I've worked in sports, sales and marketing my whole life. A lot of it cold calling, a lot of it cold emailing, a lot of it 300 calls a day, the very old school marketing, old school sales way to do it on that side. And a few disclaimers. First one is I'm not a super expert at this by far. I just have been doing this for the last 18 months and learning and implementing. And what I kind of do now is go around some startups, show what I've learned so that you guys can get started yourself, learn it as well, and build it up. But disclaimer number one, I'm not a super expert at this by any means. Number two, I haven't made millions of dollars in paid digital. I gave this talk one time and the guy kind of came up to me afterwards and said, well, you haven't made $1 million in it, so why should I listen to anything you say? So that's my second disclaimer. If you guys want some kind of justification there, I'm about 2.8x return on sales for SQWAD, my own company, with some of this on the money that we pay, and I've helped teams hit around 12 return. But again, not millions in sales on that side. And number three is there's two types, to social and to digital. There's content and there's paid. Both are very different, right? Content can help paid, but today I'm going to talk about specifically paid targeting customers, not necessarily the blog posts that are going to pull those inbounds in, although they do help on the paid side. Disclaimer number four is you will waste a lot of money if you put up ads and you haven't talked to your customers and found out their needs. And that's, I guess, with any startup. Sometimes people implement these tactics and they don't work, and it's mainly because they haven't talked to their customers, where they may be fans of the fruit apple and they're trying to sell them bananas, right? So the key thing here is you will waste a ton of money on paid advertisement, and companies do this, and people do this, big companies do this, because they don't talk to their customers. So last disclaimer, make sure you're talking to your customer, make sure you're getting their need there, and I'll go into that a little bit as well. Why I started experimenting with digital advertisement, I actually did about a year ago, I did a 7-month sales push of how I know cold calling, cold emailing, going to conferences and boothing, spending a ton of money. And in that entire cycle, I did $0 in sales, which is awful for somebody whose expertise is to do sales, right? Part of it was understanding my customer's need, but the other part of it, we knew we had to kind of change something. This wasn't working for our startup anymore. And what we really did is rethink our entire funnel, rethink how we wanted to do things. The first, what I always do as a salesperson, my steps after you're interested in my product is set up a are we a fit call, a 15-minute quick, hey, can we even help you out, right? Are we even the right person to be helping you with this problem? Usually then a demo, and then go and close. The problem was we were out and we were pushing people into this funnel. We were almost forcing them into this funnel. I like it sort of as an example is the guy who comes up to you on the street, a musician who throws his CD into your face and says, hey, my music's really good. Here, listen to this headphones. Please buy this from me. It's a lot harder to relate with than the guy who's sitting there playing music, right? You hear it, you like it. I like that type of music. I'm going to come over and ask about your CD, right? So we were doing the opposite. We were the guys getting in your face saying, you need this, or else this is going to be a problem. And what that caused was either I spent months trying to get them on the phone and agree to talk to me, or I spent months on the phone trying to get them to talk to me, and then I spent months trying to get on the demo. And again, it's forcing, hey, you're in my target demo, you need my product. I don't really know necessarily yet if you need my product, but I'm a sales guy. My job is to hit this goal. So after that, and after those $0 in sales, what we did is we shifted. We kind of shifted our mindset of, hey, can we pull people in? Can we actually get in front of people at scale? Can we say, hey, if you do have this problem, come talk to us, and then get them into our funnel? And that was why we switched over and started saying, hey, we should start researching digital advertisements. With that being said, cold calls work, cold emails work, but this is just a way more efficient way to get in front of those customers and have them coming to you. So this is probably the biggest thing here. One of the biggest foundations is secret to paid digital is pretty simple across any platform. You're just really have the goal of make great content that targeted at the right people that drives action. If you can make an ad that has that, then you'll be successful on whatever platform. There's a bunch of tips, tricks, hacks you can do on all these platforms, but this should be your baseline, because at the core of it, you're basically giving somebody something that they need, right? Scalably, targeted at them, and then you're driving them to action to buy it. So with whatever you're creating, if you're saying, hey, is this a good ad? Is this a good paid campaign? Go back to this and see if these match up. And why is because these platforms actually reward you for good advertisements. If you make a bad piece of content targeted at the wrong person and people don't view it and click it, these platforms will charge you more because you have a bad piece of content. So real quick, kind of for our example, at SQWAD, we target sports teams, specifically sponsorship salespeople. That's our niche. That's how we help. We help them sell more product. And really the pain is sponsors want digital options, but digital assets are costly and time-consuming to build, right? So that's the pain. They don't want to hire a dev shop and take all that time. So in a nutshell, that's kind of how we help our customers. Again, going back to understanding their need and their pain. With that, what then you can do, I do a lot of ads on LinkedIn, but most platforms are all the same, whether it's Twitter, whether it's going to be Instagram, which both work on B2B, whether even Snapchat on B2B. For me, it's very hard to target people by sports team on an Instagram. They have work emails, all of this, so LinkedIn is our kind of platform and portal, but as you can see, you can target by company name, company industry, company size, job title, member skills, degrees, all these things that you would want to do, right? So we're understanding the need, we're understanding, hey, we can target the correct people, and then from there, what you can do more scalably than you could do with calling or emailing is get your advertisement with that pain in front of the customers that are really going to understand this, right? So with this advertisement, which is actually our best working one, which basically says, I know it's hard to read, when working in sports sponsorship, we found two things. Sponsors are looking to connect with fans digitally. Making those can be time consuming. At SQWAD, we created easy to integrate turnkey activations that connect fans to sponsors during breaks in your game. The goal here is that as you're scrolling, you see this cool video, and this is usually a video of a fan scratching our scratcher activation on their phone. You stop for a second, you read the content, and then this system, any digital system, is basically filtering out, okay, cool, I'm going to rank your ad on this higher or lower based on how many people stop, how many people click on that, but you're getting in front of them scalably. These are all European football teams, soccer teams, that normally would be hard to get in front of. I am able to create one LinkedIn ad and get in front of them pretty easily. So that's kind of the beauty of these platforms, is that you can pick that target and reach them. From there, we're going to drive some action, right? So let's say of that posting, 3 teams have that need. They're going to go and click on the ad. They're going to inbound to our website, and then they're going to set up Are We a Fit call, right? Now, with that being said, they're coming to us, as I explained before. We know they have that need, and now we can actually start talking to them about it when they inbound onto our website. With any kind of thing, you're going to want a funnel like this. You're going to want to track, how many people are clicking on it, how many people are coming to your website, how many people are we getting for a call, and then going from there. But the overall goal here is find the customers that have your problem, scalably get them to click to your website, and then from there be able to kind of push through on these advertisements. And that's overall the beauty of paid ads. Customers with the pain that you solve, they're coming to you, literally while you can work on other things. At this second, I have LinkedIn ads running, and at this second, my phone could buzz, and I could have an inbound on my phone while I'm giving this presentation. In the past, I would have had to take an hour off, call people, email people, put these out there. So that's kind of the beauty of this is it's really efficient about getting in front of people who are sick and have a pain, have a problem, and you can go and solve it on that side. So if I haven't convinced you for why you should be looking at this so far, I hope that for no other reason, it'll save you a bunch of time for outbounding and getting in front of your prospects. So I have a few golden rules here just to start off. Again, they're going to be really fundamental. I'll take you through some of the stuff we've done. What I'd like to do is get through these, have you guys ask some questions, and then be able to give some of that feedback back on that side. But the first one, and this is mine, there's much speculation on this, but don't ever pay for cost per thousand or for views. Don't ever pay for that. Because basically, why should you pay when the platform doesn't perform? If your goal is clicks, then why would you pay $1,000 for somebody to see your ad but not take action? That is a huge waste of money, in my opinion, right? If I run an ad and it's terrible and nobody clicks on it, if you have cost per click, which is CPC, then I've paid nothing. I have lost nothing. This is massively valuable as a startup because we don't have a ton of money, right? We don't have this huge marketing budget. We can't just throw money at views, right? You should never pay for CPM. Golden rule number 2 is there's only 2 things you should really watch with any kind of campaign, is click-through rate and cost per click. Your cost per click should be low. Your click-through rate should be high. Those are literally the only 2 gauges that you should be looking at when you're looking at your ads. And the reason why is because if your cost per click is low, this will tell you that, hey, your content is correct and you're targeting the right people. Because as people are clicking more on it, these algorithms that the platforms have, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, are ranking you. And if they rank you higher, they reward you by giving you a lower cost per click. So that just means, hey, my content is working 100%. On the second side, your click-through rate, it tells you if your action or your call to action is right. They may love your content, but you're not giving them a reason to really come through and take that next action to go to your website. So that's going to be the other side. Hey, I can make a great ad that has a low cost per click, but if nobody's clicking through, then I'm kind of wasting my time and wasting my money. Or not wasting my money because I'm not paying for CPM on that side. This is just for LinkedIn. These ranges will change throughout, but a good judge on LinkedIn is 0.8% and above, you're killing it. That's very, very good. For out of the people that you're targeting and putting this out to, if you can get a 0.8% and above click-through rate, it's a very good ad on that benchmark. 0.5 to 0.8, it's okay, but hey, let's make some tweaks on this side. We know we have something, let's get it higher. If it's 0.5% and below on a click-through rate, let's just redo everything. Let's literally cut it, redo it, and get that to where it needs to be. Again, Twitter's going to have a different click-through rate. Facebook's going to have a different click-through rate. There's industry benchmarks on this. These are not industry benchmarks. These are what have been successful for us on this side, and this is kind of how we gauge it. You guys just got to get out there, test some stuff, understand that, hey, this is where I kind of want to be as far as click-through rate, and then be able to judge from there. But this is usually a good goal to have on that side. Continue on for cost per click. Literally, cost per click is where you as a small business can massively win. It is the money ball of all of business right now for in startups and big companies, because they reward you for having good ads by making cost per click on your bid cheaper. meaning that all you have to do is understand your customer better than your competitor, who could be a $10 million Series A company. And if you understand that customer better, you're going to be able to get in front of them for cheaper. This is literally why this platform is so powerful. So just to give you an example, these are from ours in our piece, and I know it's hard to see, but basically here's a bunch of campaigns with our average click-through rate. You'll see the average CPM and the average cost per click in the bids that I'm bidding. When you're bidding, you're basically saying, hey, look, I'm going to put a bid in for this group of people of $9 or $6, right? The platform is going to then say, hey, this person's bidding higher, so I'm going to put you more likely to see more people. The worst thing that can happen is you bid on something, and then that doesn't drop down, right? Because our goal is to bid very high and actually have our average cost per click low, so that we're shown to more people, but because we're so good at our jobs on the content side, we can actually reach a lower cost per click. So for example here, I have a bid here for $10 on that, and I'm hitting a $5 cost per click. So basically half. I'm only paying half, but being shown to twice as much than anybody competing for that. Now with this campaign as well, I have a 0.3% click-through rate, so that campaign was cut. But now I know, hey, this content works. We need to fix our action on that side. On the other side, here's a great click-through rate at 1.06%. I'm bidding 6, and I'm only hitting around $5.44. $1 less is great, but we can do better. So let's adjust some of the targeting and content on that side. This is a terrible campaign. I'm bidding $6 and paying $5.70, and my click-through rate is 0.31%. Again, you just cut it, you stop it, and you retarget and re-put it up. But again, as you can see, with normal advertisement, hey, this is the cost of it. This is a billboard. It costs $5,000 a month, right? Maybe it gets in front of the right people, maybe it doesn't. In the old school way, people who had the most money won because they were in the most places. In this new school way, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you can reach the customers you want for very, very cheap, and actually cheaper than what your competitor is going to pay just based on the content on that side. Golden rule number 3, winners test everything. On that, you need to test your content, your targeting, your CTA, all of that. The time I see people waste a bunch of money is when they're not testing. They run a campaign just to one target. They see that success and they say this worked or this didn't, right? They didn't take that copy, put it to another person or another target. They didn't change the copy on that side. They didn't change the action on that side. And then a lot of people just say, hey, digital ads now, they don't work for me because I paid a lot but didn't get a lot of people in. The beautiful thing on this is you can test for very cheap. You can run ads, turn them on, turn them off, only pay for CPC when they work. But again, follow that click-through rate, and the cost per click should be CPC. Keep your winners and don't be afraid to cut your losers. Don't get excited about, hey, I really think this content will work with this customer, and let it ride for too long. Almost be unromantic about the content you're making. If it doesn't work, cut it. For if no other reason, then a lot of these platforms look at your history, and if you have, let's say, a click-through rate of 0.3% on average, it's going to be a lot harder to get a better score than if you would have cut that really bad ad, and that brings your average up. But really, again, don't be afraid to cut your losers. And kind of restart and retarget on that. To give you an example on this, in the last 5 months, I've run 19 total campaigns, groups, so Scratchers 2.0, Scratchers 3.0. In every group, there is as well different targeting, different campaigns, all of that, 180 total campaigns. That means I made 108 total different ads targeted at different people. So again, make massive amounts, learn and learn and learn until you've come in and you find that refined one, and then double down on that winner. But a lot of people don't do this testing and don't take the time in to put in on this testing, and that's really where I see them say, hey, this stuff doesn't work for me, I don't get it, maybe I should outsource this, things like that. Golden rule number 4, and this is, again, just my preference, but it's a real thing. Don't become addicted to paid advertisement, meaning that just because you got to click for what you think is a cheap price does not mean that it's going to be good for your company, right? For us, we charge teams around $800 a month. To be conservative, I say I'm only betting that they're going to stay for a month with us. I want a 3x return my goal. So really I can only spend $266 per conversion, not per click, right? Not per website conversion, per, hey, I closed you, all right? So you're gonna wanna look and say, hey, look, I wanna make sure that I don't run out of marketing money before I can learn and before I can go from there. Main reason on this is if you don't have the money from sales, you have to go get an investor. There's nothing wrong with getting an investor, but they're going to take 30% of your company. And then this is going to be a lot harder to kind of go in and bring it back. So I'm all for building a profitable company at first. It's very, very easy because of how fast you can spend money on digital ads to just say, we spent $400, we got 500 clicks and 2 conversions, but we lost $50 on each client. You're losing. You're not a successful business. So I was addicted at first. My first month, I spent a lot of money on this. And then I said, hey, wait, that check that they just cut for us is not matching up with this. So this is very important. Again, understand how much revenue you're going to get. Understand where they have to go through, and then understand, hey, our goal is to 3x it. And make sure you're watching that side. And just to kind of show you the results, again, mainly to prove, hey, this works. This works for me. I was not an expert. I had run very few Facebook ads before really doubling down and learning some of this stuff. We spent in the last 4 or 5 months, $5,000 in LinkedIn. We've already closed 2 teams that will come out to around $11,000 lifetime value, and we have 12 teams in the pipeline right now who will come in at $84,000 on top of that. So that's just to say, if you guys get this right, if companies get this right, you can make a ton of money and have people coming to you in a better way, and that is a lot better than the $11,000 I spent in conferences to get $0 in sales, right? This stuff works implemented correctly. It is something that you can't ignore anymore, right? You can't say, hey, I don't know how to do digital advertisements, so therefore I'm not going to do it. Take the time to learn it, take some of these fundamental steps, and get after it a little bit. And really the first step on this side is just to do it. What I usually tell companies who I've worked with is pick a customer segment, understand their pain, create the content and copy you think is going to work, and then just run ads. It could be on LinkedIn, it's $10 a day is what the minimum is. On Facebook, I believe, is $5 a day, right? Very, very cheap, and you can turn them off whenever you want. So don't be afraid to say, hey, do I need $700 on this? Maybe lifetime you do, right? But you guys can go and test this really fast and learn things that are going to set you up to be successful later on and build that pipeline if you just run the ads and test and adjust. Again, there's no magic here. You kind of got to put the work in the beginning, hopefully with some of these pillars, and just run ads. Learn for yourself. What works for me in my industry is going to be different from all of you guys's. So the next step is just do it. Just get in there and run your first Facebook campaign. Quick sports shout out. We have 2 clients here in the Northwest. Seattle Storm just won the WNBA championship. So if you're in Seattle and you haven't been to a game, get there. And for the viewers in Spokane, I don't know where the camera is, get out to a Spokane Chiefs game. Great experiences. Sorry, I just had to shout them out. That's my Twitter. That's my email. Again, email me, tweet me, any questions you guys have. But again, would love to open it up to you guys. See where you guys are struggling, see what you guys have questions on, and hopefully I can help a little bit. Question? Yep.
This is my second class, or just learning about all this right now, so I'm very new to it. And I don't have any businesses or ideas. I just want to soak up knowledge.
Yep.
But my question was, have you added like scrubbers and scrapers to like kind of pull out? I just went to another one. I forget where it was at. And they were explaining how they get a lot of to help tweak their campaigns, they scrape pages and and whatnot, and they look for keywords and but the scripts that they're running are extremely helpful for them, they were saying.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's going to be very fine-tuned things you can do. I would assume those keywords would be more toward like a Twitter or a Google Ads. Me personally, I don't run Google Ads because I've never clicked on a Google ad and never bought anything from a Google ad, so I don't like to use them. But there's more and more tweaks you can do that to kind of up that. But overall, again, you got to just get back to that foundation. Are you explaining the story, the good content to the right person, right, with the right call to action? That's with all of the growth hack, with all of the tweaks, other than bidding high, understanding that I have a great content piece, and instead of doing the general bid, bidding high and hoping it comes in lower. That's just fundamentally kind of been across the board. That's what works. Is that going to help you 20%, 20 cents, 30 cents? Yes. If you're spending millions of dollars, does that add up? Absolutely. But I think overall, when you're starting off, especially just getting things going, let's get you started on just making good ads, targeting the right people, knowing that stuff. And then as you start to build that, then yeah, you guys can, mainly I'm thinking on Twitter, you can target hashtags, you can target at mentions, trending things. That's when that would come into play a little bit. Again, millions of dollars in spend, yes, that's going to kill it for you. Thousands of dollars in spend, I don't know how much that would move the needle for you so much. And not to say you shouldn't learn it. It's just kind of starting off with those fundamentals. Yep.
Hey, thanks for the talk.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of marketing teams have a limited budget as to how much they can spend on these ad runs and tests and stuff like that. So my question was, what would be your recommendation as to determining what platform is the best one for your potential clients?
Yeah, you'll start with this hypothesis of I think people will be here, right? I think my customer will be here. Usually I'll start with, for sports teams, sports executives are on Twitter. That's just where, hashtag sportsbiz, that's where you kind of get that piece. We ran Twitter ads and they were awful. They were terrible. They did not, even for the people who did click through, they didn't convert, right? That was my number one, because I didn't think sports execs would click on a LinkedIn. I spent about a month wasting money without testing it on LinkedIn. LinkedIn within the first month was profitable for us. So what I would say is have that hypothesis, try to think, right? And it makes sense, right? Kind of for most of the time when I'm on Twitter and Instagram and a business ad pops up for marketing automation, I'm watching sports, I'm taking a walk. I'm not in the mood to click on an ad to learn how it's going to 3x my business, right? Let's switch that. If I'm on LinkedIn and I'm scrolling through some content and I see that matches the medium a little bit more. So again, test everything. And again, these budgets are very small, $5. Only pay for cost per click, so you're only paying when you're learning things. And then if it's a high cost per click in about a day and a half, turn it off, right? You don't have to say $500 run, right? Tweak it every day. But as far as that budget goes, try everything and then find that one that you can double down on. Again, you kind of saw LinkedIn's very good for us. Twitter was bad. Instagram was even worse. I don't think I've ever gotten a higher cost per click on a platform compared to the average, but try everything, test everything, have really, really small budgets as you go, and then go from there. If you think about it, $10 a day is a coffee at Starbucks, depending on what coffee you buy. If you can't like cut Starbucks to test out to see if this platform is going to work, then that's kind of how I think about it on the testing side.
Thanks, Nick.
We have some questions from Spokane. How many content and targeting tests is enough before you feel ready to make a decision about the ad? And what is an adequate sample size?
Yeah, I'll start with sample size. Sample size is going to matter on your market, right? So if we targeted every sports executive in minor league and major league baseball, that's a sample size of 9,000, right? So in most cases, on a higher overall B2B, that wouldn't be very high, right? So I would say based on how niched you want to get, that's going to matter on your sample size. Obviously, statistically, what it's over 30, you can say is statistically significant. But that's where I would start. And sorry, I don't know where the camera is, so I don't know where I'm speaking to. And what was the second part of the question? Totally forgot.
How many content and targeting tests is enough before you feel ready to make a decision about that?
I'll quote my football coach, and this is for Brady Ryan, who I played football with over in Spokane. In pass rushing and pass blocking, how long does it take? How long do I have to pass block take? As long as possible, right? Or as long as needed, right? With that being said, if you're great at testing, you could hit your first ad, it could hit a return of 4x, right? And you'll still want to run with it, and you could be great. It could take 20 campaigns and tweaking before you find that one. I'll tell you right now, for scratchers, the video killed it. My headline copy took about 15 campaigns to get correct. And a lot of that was talking to the customers, talking to our current clients and saying, if you were going to click on a LinkedIn ad, what do you want to hear, right? So that took a ton of time. So again, as long as it takes on that side, the key thing is to keep that budget low, right? And for every click, that's information that's going to come through. For every click-through rate, for every cost per click on the bid, because the bid is taking into account, did they stop scrolling? Did people stay and watch your video the whole time? And then did they click? There's all these things. So again, that's why cost per click is the main metric I look at, because that tells you the contents well. But just as long as it takes. On that side, just make sure you're not spending massive amounts of money when you're testing. Make sure you test low, and then when you find that one, double down and spend that money.
We have another one from Brady. Can you outline a good call to action? What goes into a successful CTA for SQWAD?
Yeah, for us, it just goes back to the value they get. So I don't know if you could probably read it on this, but our call to action is close more sponsorship and build your ticketing list easily with SQWAD. The biggest two things is I want to make more money, and everything out there is super hard to integrate, right? So we basically just said how succinctly, and that's not very succinct, we're still working on that, but how succinctly can we say, hey, here's your problem, I'm going to solve it for you very easily, and get that in as few words as possible. Because that's the bolded part. Hey, I read through, hey, this guy was in sponsorship, here's my problems, now I'm telling you, take this action right now, right? And, click here to learn more about SQWAD. That kind of tells me nothing, right? To say, hey, you're going to close more sponsorship and you're going to do it easily, any person selling sponsorship is going to say, yes, I want to go click on that. So again, it's testing. I'll admit our first one was probably learn more about SQWAD, but keep testing it, keep talking to your customers. They will literally tell you, I bet you that came from Rich Franklin at the Winterhawks, who's the sponsorship guy. He probably told me that word for word, and I just wrote it down. So that's usually the best way to come up with your call to actions.
We good? Okay. Well, thanks, Nick.
Yeah,
thanks for
thank you
coming,
guys.
and thank you, everyone, for coming out of Fundamentals for Startup Fridays. Hopefully we'll see you at the next one. Thanks.
All right, thank you.